Or, oh, how that woman could cook her food was like grand upper town. Why, you could give her dining room table one look, right away you gain 7 pounds. A sick man could eat himself well pretty quick. And when he got well, he ate himself sick. And her price, without question, would cure in deception. Ah, God, how that woman could cook.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Gina's Good Looking Cooking. Today we're not cooking. I'm sharing with you a tip that I have discovered makes life a lot easier for me. That is a well-stocked pantry. And a small pantry like I have makes storage a very important issue. Everything that I purchase comes in odd-sized or shaped containers. They don't stack well. It's easy to lose things. So I took my frustration with the waste that comes along with my food purchases and recycled that waste into a storage container that works perfectly in my pantry, and I hope that you give it a try and see how well it works for you. To make this simple storage container, all you're going to need is a food-safe sealable container. This is a product that Mike and I use all the time, so I get these regularly, and they're just the perfect size. They have a large opening, they're easy to scoop into and measure out of. It just works really well in my pantry, and I'll show you the finished product here in a bit and you'll see exactly what I mean. I am using the spray paint primer for plastic. I want to make sure that the paint sticks on this well. These labels don't come off, so I want to make sure I get a really good coverage on it. I chose a spray paint for plastic in a color that I liked. I have just some simple craft glue, a fabric square, some decorative ribbon, painter's tape or masking tape, a zipper bag, and a rubber band. And it's as simple as that. So we'll be right back with you and get started getting everything prepped and show you how I turn this trash into a recycled pantry storage solution. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is get the container prepped and ready for the painting. It's already been washed and dried thoroughly. I'm just going to take the bag and open it up. We don't want any of the paint going inside where our food is going to be. So this is how I'm sealing the inside. And I just put it down in the bag. You're going to have to fold a few pleats into it to make sure that it fits on the inside completely. But you can already see how it's just right up against the top. I'll take a strip of the painter's tape. I like painter's tape because it's sticky, but it comes off easily. Masking tape works just as well. I'm just going to tear this into a few strips and get it all ready. I actually put 3 layers of tape around this, and you'll see why here in just a minute. So we'll start with the first piece, and I go from the inside out, making sure I get the plastic bag completely in the tape, and then just fold it right over the edge, just like that. So you can see that it's got the bag stuck well, and it's just over the edge, making sure no paint will go in. And I do that around the container in a few spots just to tack it in place, and then we'll go over it again. When you put that little pleat in right there like I'm doing, you just want to make sure that the tape is really grabbing hold of the bag so that no paint goes inside the container. Now, as you can see, I've got it taped in place, just kind of tacked in 4 different areas here, and just barely over the lip, just holding the bag in tight. Now I'll take a little more and go around it and kind of fill in the gaps and make sure that I have a really good seal. And again, this is more worrying about the inside, this step, than the outside. Will come along with that third and final layer of tape and put a nice clean line around the outside edge as well. You just want to make sure you've got a good bit of the tape stuck to the bag on the inside. That's the most important part is making sure. You don't want to go through all this effort and then find out that the spray paint got inside. That's no longer a food safe product. So now I've filled in the gaps around. I've got it completely sealed on the inside. I'm just going to tear some longer strips of tape now and just go right around the edges, just under the ridges where the lid screws on. So you just want to go right under that and then just fold that over. Again, just a little more insurance that this is going to stay food safe. And again, just right under that lip, all the way around. Make sure it's sealed well. Fold it over. Just one more piece right here. And as you can see now, it's totally sealed on the inside. We've got a nice clean line around the edge, and this is ready to be primed and painted. Now, before I go out, it's a little windy today. We're not going to be able to do this in the backyard. I'm going to spread some plastic out in the garage. Make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area. I'm going to go ahead and work on the lid and get that ready. And that is a really simple. You could paint it. I chose to fabric cover mine because I had these little scraps of fabric and no use for them. I just picked up a little spool of decorative ribbon to wrap around it. It's really simple to do, and let me show you how we do that now. I've just got a little bit of water here and a piece of wax paper, newsprint, anything. This glue is very thick, and what I like to do is thin it some, and that way it spreads very evenly across the top and the fabric sticks all the way down. I also thin it and put it around the edge. So this is exactly what I do. It's fun. It's playing with glue. You get to peel it off your fingers. Everything that we used to get in trouble for in elementary school. So I just dip my finger in some water and just wet the glue and start spreading it. I tried with paint brushes and things like that, and that just didn't work out for me. This is the fastest, easiest ways. And you can see with that little bit of water, it thinned it just enough that we've got a nice, smooth, even layer around it. I like to start going around the rim now, and then I'll show you in a few minutes where the rubber band comes in. It's a very important step in this process. You must have a rubber band. Alright, so that's all ready now. I'm just going to take the fabric square, put it on here, making sure we've got enough of an overhang that it's going to go past the edge of the lid, and just smooth the fabric out. You're kind of spreading any thicker spots of glue with your finger as you're doing this. Just make sure it's stuck really well. now we have the top glued completely down. I'm just going to take my scissors and kind of round off these corners, make it a little bit easier to work with for this last step. And where we started bringing the glue down around the rim, you can go ahead and start tacking it down there. This glue is a very tacky, sticky glue, so it starts to set up fairly quickly, and it really does grab hold of it. Make sure you got it nice and flat on the edges. And then I'm just going to wet my finger again, dip it in this glue here, and just run it around the edge. Not too thin, not too thick. You'll see you want it to get in these little grooves to help the fabric hold on. And do it a little bit at a time, and then just work it around, making sure you don't have any pleats or creases in your fabric. You want it to lay nice and flat. And just continue to work your way around the side of this lid. Just do it in little small sections at a time, and make sure that you're working those pleats and folds out so you get a nice smooth surface. And again, you could paint these, you could leave them whatever color they are. These didn't have any labels on them. I just didn't really think the red lids looked good with the paint that I had chosen. You would want to ensure that you sealed off the inside of the lid well, just like we did with the container itself. If you're going to paint it, you don't want any of the paint and the toxins that would come with that coming into contact with any food you might be storing in this. Of course, if this were a craft room supply project or something along those lines, you know, we wouldn't be as concerned about that. But since I'm using this for pantry storage, I always take, you know, all the precautions that you need to make sure that, you know, everything is not only beautiful and delicious, but no one's gonna get sick from anything you produce in your kitchen. Takes just a little bit of time, but by the time we get these all painted, the glue will be dry. We'll put the ribbon around them at that time while the paint is drying on our containers, and then they'll be ready to bring in and fill up and get in the pantry. And storage solutions are something that I have struggled with for a long time. I have tried a million different things and nothing ever really worked for me. But these are, you know, they're designed to stack on shelves in the grocery store. It's what they were made to do, so why throw them away? Why not go ahead and give them a second life? Just a little bit more left to go here. And we've gone all the way around now. Get this glue off my finger. And now for the rubber band. I'm just going to stretch this around the lid, scoot it all the way down to the bottom. Make sure that everything is getting a nice good contact with the glue, and it's going to seal well. It's going to look beautiful. This is the finished. I've got it tucked in, wrapped with a rubber band. After I get this all the way down to the edge, another thing that I will do is just go around this edge with just the tiniest bit of glue and wrap it in like this so it's sealed all the way around, and then we'll just cut the excess out of the inner ring, and then it's a beautiful finished lid all the way down. So just scoot the rubber band down to the end. This is probably the hardest step of all of them, is getting it untwisted and straight, but you will be glad you took the extra minute to do it, because it really makes everything lay smooth, and all that effort you went to stretching the fabric and making sure you didn't get any pleats and wrinkles, this just ensures that it stays that way. So we're all the way out to the edge now. I'm just going to take a little toothpick, roll it here in the glue, and just put a fine, fine little line of glue here on this bottom rim of the lid. Just go all the way around it real quick with just a little thin, even layer. All this is doing is finishing the edges. You know, if I'm going to go to all the time and effort to do a project like this and look at it every day when I open my pantry, I want it to look nice. So now I just go around and tuck this in. Get everything going inside so we get that nice smooth finished edge. The rubber band's holding the sides in nice and tight until they set up and the glue dries. And we've got this all glued now. I'll turn it over, give it a quick little rub on a flat surface just to make sure that it's all stuck. And that is done. We move on now to the garage as soon as I go get some plastic spread out, and we'll get these containers painted and I'll show you my pantry. Alright, we're in the garage now. The door's open. We've got good ventilation. I've got some plastic down, my primer for plastic spray paint, and we're just going to give this a good coat and get it all ready. Has to dry about 30 minutes, and then we'll be back to put some color on. And that's all there is to this step. The primers have time to dry. We're going to put a good coat of the colored paint on now. We'll have to give it time to dry and then come back and give it a second coat to make sure we've got good coverage. And our recycled storage containers were almost finished. just want to spray in little short bursts. It doesn't matter that we don't get complete coverage the first time. That's what the second coat's for. I'm going to turn it upside down and give the bottom. And the first coat's done. Now we wait. We'll go inside and we'll put the finishing touches on the lids, come back out and give this a second coat, and in just that quick, we've got storage containers for the organized, well-stocked pantry. Our containers have got the first coat of paint on them. They're in the garage now drying. The lids have dried. The fabric is adhered really well to them. I'm going to go ahead and take the rubber bands off now and attach the ribbon, trim out the insides, and they'll be done. It'll be time to give the second coat of paint to the containers, and I'll show you the inside of my pantry with the finished project. I have quite a few of these already made up. I'm very pleased with how they turned out. They work really well, and I think you're going to love it. So I'm just going to glue a little of this ribbon right around the edge just to finish everything off. My glue is not wanting to come out. Just start it just a little at a time and work it around. Keep it right at the edge. And that gives it a nice finished look. I try to keep my glue upside down. This is really thick glue, and it takes forever to get it back down in the tip to give you a nice good bead. So just put it in a cup upside down and it is ready when you need it. I'm going to go ahead and cut this now to fit. And that way I can make sure I don't get it twisted. And again, these are just perfect containers for this purpose. Like I said earlier, you know, that's what they're designed for, is to stack on grocery store shelves, and they are balanced. A lot of them have the built-in hand grips, which I really like, especially when they're full. They're a little heavy depending on what you put in them. I use these to store all my dry goods, you know, flour and sugar. I keep a nice supply of nuts in my pantry for different baking needs, dried beans, any number of things. It just looks pretty. When I open my pantry, it makes me want to make things because everything is so well labeled. I just got some simple labels from the store, pulled up the template, printed the initial border decorative items on it, and then I have them ready now to just run back through and label with what I'm going to be storing in the container. So it's just that easy. Now I'm going to trim off this excess on the inside. And I will do the same thing to the second lid. We'll be back out in the garage shortly putting on the second coat of paint. And this is a quick and easy project that will be finished in no time. So I'll see you back shortly in my garage. Well, the paint's been drying now. Time's gotten away from me. It's a little longer than an hour, but that's the nice thing about projects like this is you can walk away from them and come back when time allows. I've got the lids finished inside. I'm going to put the second coat of paint on this now, and then we'll have our pantry storage solution. And just that fast, we've got a container ready to put in the pantry filled with the things that we use all the time that never fit. It's just that fast, just that easy. We'll be back when these dry and I'll show you my pantry, the well-stocked, well-organized, good-looking pantry. See you soon. All right, the paint has dried. Now all that's left is taking the tape off, pulling the bag out. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to store in these yet, but I have my labels here all ready to print as soon as I do. And you can see the lids go on perfectly. This is a beautiful repurposed, recycled container. And now let's go take a look in the pantry and see how it all turns out with the finished products. And here's my pantry. As you can see, my containers, they're all uniform. They're all clearly labeled. Everything that I need is right here. My preserved goods, my hard work from the summer's harvest on the top shelf. I have assorted nuts, dried fruits, everything that you could need to make something wonderful, with more containers to come because these are products that I do buy on a regular basis, and I will just keep adding to this. I'm planning the ones that we've done today for dried beans and things like that. So there's no end to the solutions that these containers can provide for you, whether they're in your pantry, in your craft space, in your garage, sorting tools and parts and nails and screws. There's always a way to repurpose something instead of running to the store and buying something new. Let's take something that would normally go in the trash and add to the landfills and repurpose it and find new life for it. I hope that this helps you and gives you some ideas. And the secret to good-looking cooking is a good-looking pantry. I'll see you next time on a new episode of Gina's Good Looking Cooking.
Or how that woman could cook her food was like ran up and down. Why, you could give her dining room table one look, right away you gain 7 pounds. A sick man could eat himself well pretty quick, and when he got well, he ate himself sick, and her pies without question. Would you in deception? Ah, God, how that woman could cook.